We are live. Let's go, baby. Back for another ep on the Fourth and One podcast. As always, I am your boy Rusi, and I'm here with my boy Coach Trey. How you doing today, Trey?
Good, man. Welcome in everybody in here to a 624 edition of the Fourth and One podcast.
Yeah,
Chilling.
we don't always start on the exact time. We come a little bit early for you guys. Shout out to Kevin Smith in the chat. I'm ready. I'm ready too, man. Let's get into this one. This is kind of the last week we've got kind of just talking about storylines and everyone preparing for the season. We've got some week 0 games next Saturday that we're going to break down in our next video. So I really wanted to start with an announcement as far as our channel is concerned. We dropped live on Spotify, so you can find us on Spotify, Fourth and One podcast with Brucey and Coach. It's pretty cool. You can listen to us on, you don't have to come to the YouTube video to watch us live if you're not available to watch us every Thursday. So I think that's pretty cool. And the big update is we've got a Patreon now. And what we're trying to do with that is we're trying to keep our fans updated as much as possible as far as the betting side is concerned. It's pretty difficult to get our entire betting cards for each week in a 30-minute span because we're trying to keep our videos 30 minutes long. So it kind of gives us a little bit of freedom to talk and more about some updates, some important stuff. And we're still going to talk about our betting cards and what games we really like. But our full betting cards are going to be on our Patreon, patreon.com/Fourth and One podcast. Basically, all you got to do is you got to pay $1 a month. That's it. $1 a month. So what is the college football season, Trey? 6 months at the most?
January.
So, I mean, not even 6 months. So you're basically paying $5. And to me, and betting's an investment, right? You're betting your money and you're investing it and hoping, especially on the future side, that you're going to get some more money back in return. It's kind of like a stock, but it's cooler, in my opinion. You're investing $5 total, basically, into our full betting cards. And I like to say we're pretty good at this betting thing, Trey. I mean, that's my opinion. I think we're pretty damn good.
We're so biased, but we're so good.
Especially at the college football level. So it's a good way to get our full card.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Jeez. So it's a full way to get our card. You can interact with us, ask us direct questions, and all you got to do is just sign up, make a Patreon account, subscribe to the tier. It's called the membership, and it's only $1 a month. So basically, you're investing $5. And hopefully, if you listen to our picks throughout the year and we make you, plus 50 units, whatever you like to bet. We're not, you can bet 10 cents a game or you can bet $100 a game. We're hoping that $5 investment is going to be a good ROI as far as what we can bring to the table and our expertise as far as the college football sector, whether it be player props, straight games. We love ourselves some parlays. We're degenerates at heart. So people who say it's not smart to parlay, screw them. We're parlay gods over here. So the patreon.com/Fourth and One podcast, $1 a month. Please give it a shot. And like I said, you have direct access to both me and Trey, both our cards, both our predictions for the full season. So that's the big announcement. I think that's a pretty big announcement, Trey. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, it is. And again, I know obviously that's the whole money thing, but like, listen, it's $1. it's $1. And also too, there's no reason to believe that it has to continue this way or stay this way. I mean, it might get to the point where we're so big that it doesn't have to ever cost money. But at the same time, like, it's $5. You're going to get that in the first day. We have killer bangers coming out for the first week 1 of college football, man. Like literally, you're going to look at that. You're going to look at that $1 a month and think, you know what I mean? Like it's $1, y'all. Come on. Like, but again, this is also for the game. For example, for player props don't come out until an hour or so before football games anyway. So there's no way for us to get you all of the information on Thursday unless we're just live on Saturday mornings from 9 to kickoff. Like there's no other way. So you can turn your notifications on and you'll have immediate notifications, obviously, as to when we're making changes or updates. last minute questions, concerns, injuries, things of that nature. So I think it's a pretty good way to honestly keep us organized is the biggest key for us. And I'm excited, man. And we're going to get into it here in just a second on what that might look like.
Yeah. So it just brings us structure, man. And you think we're not charging $1 to make profits, man. Everything's going right back into we're the cheapest charging people out there. If I could have made it, the least I could have gone was $1. If I could have gone less, I would have made it a cent. It's just to provide structure. It's just to provide, like Trey said, some updates if lines aren't available for player props. I'm a player prop guy. I for all my people that love betting that, if I can't get that to you on Thursday, it's tough. But we're not going to be live every Saturday. Some Saturdays, which is the next thing I'm going to get into, we're going to try and, once every while, probably once or twice a month, go live during a big game that we have. For instance, we can try and go live next weekend if you're available. We'll have to check our schedules for the Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt's a huge game for both of us. That's a must-win game, not only for Trey, for his future, but for me. I have them in a bunch of my parlays with some other sports that are looking pretty good right now. So I need Vanderbilt to come through. We're going to have some simulcast. We'll watch the game live for you guys. You can see our reactions on how we get crazy when we watch these games. When there's some money on the line, I think me and Trey are pretty damn funny, but it's at our expense. We're not trying to be funny. We're just into it. We're passionate about football. We're passionate about winning. So we're going to try that once or twice a month. Maybe we'll have to get together and look for Vanderbilt, but if not, we'll definitely get together once or twice a month. We'll keep you guys updated on when that schedule is. And I think that's going to be a pretty fun addition to the show as well. So now that we're done, we can go into our big topic of the day. And we kind of discussed this a bunch last week. We're going to discuss it again. It's not that we're being biased. It's the big storyline going on. I mean, Myles Brennan leaving LSU. Front page of ESPN. It's not like, we're biased towards any particular college or conference, even though I think the SEC is superior. Myles Brennan, gone from LSU. What are your thoughts on the LSU quarterback situation now? And let's get into Myles Brennan first. What do you think about that?
I have nothing but respect for him, man. I know there's obviously a couple of voices in the Twitter sphere that may counter that point, but I think there's everything went right for Myles except for luck. He did everything he could possibly do other than get lucky. But the biggest part, and I'm not going to take credit for this talking point, but I'll credit that to a local radio guy. But I think the biggest storyline of all of it is that Myles is at a point in his life where he's an engaged guy. He's about to get married. He likes to hunt. He likes to fish. Perfect example. When Joe Burrow went to LSU, the word on that street is that when Joe was in the film room, Myles would go with him. Joe would stay. Myles would leave, and he'd be in the deer stand or the duck blind or on the fishing dock. As you can kind of see how he tripped and fell, the whole flip flop, breaks his arm. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong for Myles did, and I really don't see an issue with if you just want to be done and move on with your life, and that's okay. You can have more than one love, and you can have, whatever comes to him in life. He gets to keep, from what I understand, he gets to keep all the NIL things that he got, whatever it is, and good on him, man. Look, he gave everything to that college, and if you're a North Carolina State or if you're an Alcorn State fan, if anybody loves your school the way that Myles Brennan loves LSU, then you could only respect that. So hats off to him, man, for doing it. And it opens up a really big talking point, which I think Russo has a couple of big.
Well, there's a few, and I think you kind of painted it in a positive way, but let me be a devil's advocate here. I think a lot of people are kind of upset about the whole process. I think they look at it as Brian Kelly came in, swayed him from the transfer portal, and he came back. Now I know there were some agreements in the house on how that was going to play out, but from the outside looking in, he was in the transfer portal looking to leave and better his career because he kind of knew he was on the doorstep out, looking for a better opportunity. Mm-hmm. And Brian Kelly sways him back in just to throw him back to the Wolves. So that's kind of devil's advocate. That's a lot of opinions I'm seeing on that, and that they're not fans of this whole decision by LSU. I'm assuming they told him he was going to be the man out of the 3-man quarterback race. So, what do you think about the people that had that opinion?
I don't think that's at all how it went. I'm obviously not in the LSU room. I don't work there. I am in medical sales, so but I do know that I have it on pretty decent authority that that's not how that went. I think the conversation was, and I think with most coaches that it would be, is that you don't promise anyone anything early until you know. So the conversation, to what I understand, is they said, you're going to compete anywhere you go. Why not come and compete here? And he said, okay. But I think that in a way it changes. And I've kind of gotten away from this point with the whole Garrett Nussmeier thing because I've been buying into the smoke with it. But when you bring Jayden Daniels in, you don't bring Jayden Daniels in because you don't think that you need him. You took him because he wanted to come and because you needed him. And whether that was because you didn't have faith in Miles or you didn't have enough faith in Nuss, or you didn't want to have faith in the guy coming in, Walker Howard, then what other reason would you have from bringing in Jayden Daniels? And by the way, how he plays, how Nuss plays, how Walker plays, how their brand, they all have the complete exact opposite style of what Miles is. Remember that Miles Brennan was recruited by Cameron. And played for Les Miles. Miles Brennan has been at LSU longer than you and I have been in the
Alive.
Like he's an actual. And again, man, and I love Miles, man. God bless him. But you're a fossil to college football when you've been there for that long. So
he is.
But I don't agree with that. But again, it's not. It's everybody is free to have their own opinion. So.
It was just an opinion base. I think of it as the same way you do. I think there's no way they guaranteed him a spot. I mean, that would just be ridiculous to do, especially as big of a college and knowing the circumstances behind it. Did Jayden Daniels commit to transfer to us before or after he made his decision? I'm pretty sure it was after Miles Brennan made the decision. Is that right? I can't remember.
I don't pay attention to one school enough to know. All I remember is that he basically transferred in and had with a little over a handful of days in the spring before their spring game was. I couldn't even tell you when that was, but I do know that when he did commit, any time, it's like when Brian Kelly went to LSU, the Notre Dame fans puts out this narrative in the Big Ten lovers, because they're kind of in that area, puts out a narrative on Brian Kelly. He doesn't belong. He's not going to fit, all this stuff. Same thing with Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is going to LSU. You're automatically going to start pointing out things wrong with Jayden Daniels because he's no longer at your school, and you want that narrative to fit. So now it's all, he can't throw the ball. He's not accurate. Brother, can we maybe wait for the game to start before we start painting that? You see practice film. I understand that, but some people turn on when the lights cut on, bro. Like, you know damn good and well that some people decide to just be like that when the lights come on. And it doesn't matter how many practice reps you get. When the lights cut on and somebody turns it up, that's the kind of guy you want. And I'm not saying he is that guy, but we're all going to see. I could have said the exact same thing about Bo Nix, 3 seasons ago, whenever he got to Auburn and he was Don, the first starting rookie quarterback, in Auburn history. And we're all going, all right, well, let's see it. But everybody else was ready to say he was the next coming of, Tim Tebow. And you see how that worked out. And we're going to get to him in a second. But anyway, I got passionate for a second.
Yeah. It happens, man.
I don't like when they talk about these players like this, man. Like, these kids do nothing but pour their heart and souls out to play, football. And just because he leaves your school, now all of a sudden he's not worth a hell. I don't like that.
No, it's a popular opinion to hate in this country, regardless of the topic. So no politics, though. We don't do politics on this show. Anyways, 4th down, Bo is nice. Yeah, he is nice. He had some good scrambles. I mean, he had some good plays last year on 4th down that I specifically remember.
Kev must be talking about that LSU Auburn game where he was the greased up deaf guy running back there, bro. Just whatever. Bro. That was crazy. And then he comes and does what he did to Alabama. Whatever.
I lost so many parlays because of that game. I was in a hotel room. I was traveling. I think I broke something. I threw. There were 2 plays, specifically that he did on 4th down, and I don't even want to get there. I don't want to anger myself. I don't want to raise my blood pressure. Your point about Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
We talked last week, and we kind of announced that Nuss was going to be 1 and Daniels going to be 2. They're both going to play, but the narrative has switched. It feels like this week. There's a lot of steam, and this could be smoke screens coming from the media, but people are watching these scrimmages happen now. We got eyes on the field. Jaden's got a lot of reps with the first team right now, and Nuss is banged up a little bit. He hurt his ankle. We don't know the full details of that, but he's back to my knowledge. But Jaden is still taking first team reps, and from what I've seen, it just leads me to believe that he's going to be announced as the game 1 starter. I think you and I both believe they'll probably both play game 1. I don't know how smart that is on us. Florida State is not an Alabama. It's not a great team, but it's a tough challenge to open up the season, especially with the Seminoles getting a game on week 0. It didn't fare well for LSU last year when they played UCLA. There were some circumstances that affected that, to my knowledge, with LSU being tired, and there's a completely different coaching staff, and I think they've addressed that. But I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the game 1 starter now. I take back everything I said. We kind of announced Nuss, Gus, Bus being the quarterback, and I don't know if that's the case anymore. So have you heard anything else from any of your people that that might be aware, had their eyes on the field during practice, and what do you think about it?
I think I'll put it this way: it's too close to call, but you kind of have to read the tea leaves, man. You got one guy that started 30 games and one guy that that has, to put it nicely, started significantly less than that. Nuss has got the arm talent, but Jaden has, from what I understand, Jaden Daniels has game-breaking speed. Like there was one of the guys down there said something like 22 miles per hour the guy runs, and I know he's like 6'4". Look, I'm not trying to say that he's Cam Newton. Dear God, I'm not saying that. But if you've got comparable abilities and one of them has that kind of potential, and you can run like that, and you have that much experience, and they're probably going to start him. Probably. Look, we're not the coaching staff. We don't know. We'll see. But I do think that they both play. But I think by game 4, I think by SEC play, you have to figure this out. Like play who you got when you got defense, offensive line, the shuffles, the QB, all that has to be nailed down by SEC. You cannot have it go any other way. You can't be playing the two system crap.
Now, you alluded to this earlier when we were talking about Brian Kelly having a history of doing this. So that's why it didn't really shock me that they're going to do this the first couple of games. But like you said, I don't think that's a smart way of doing things in the SEC when you really get into the thick of it. So I completely agree. But I guarantee you, both of them are playing significant. Maybe I wouldn't say half and half. They might go with the hot arm, depending on how that game goes. It could be close. It could be a blowout. So I need LSU to win because I've got them in a lot of parlays. Thousands of dollars on the line from some previous plays that I included, and me and you both know. Last time we had some futures parlays in a different sport, Joel Embiid MVP, it didn't go well for us. So I've got LSU. I've also got shout out to my boy AJ Fletcher, MMA, UFC, off topic completely, but big parlay pieces from Louisiana. He is fighting this weekend on the UFC 278 card, I believe, on the Usman Edwards. So shout out to him. Need both of them to win, specifically LSU, because my God, I think I did not hold back from including them in a lot of parlays. I've got Ohio State and a couple of other ones. I feel very confident about them, but with so many question marks coming in with this LSU team, kind of nervous. So,
I want to say one last thing before we get off this topic, because I do want to get to another couple of things here. But what I do want to say is that as as a college football fan, you have to sometimes look at other storylines. You just talked about Notre Dame. You just talked about what he did with the 2 quarterback systems over there, which I think is a curse word to a lot of football teams. But last year in the Big Ten, Mel Tucker gets the Michigan State job, does an entire rehaul and a revamp, brings in 100,000 and 3/4 kids onto the team, and he ends up having a fantastic year, but he did have a couple of blowouts. There's no reason to believe that model isn't repeatable. I'm not saying LSU is going to do it, but if you are one of those people, us included, because you made all the other SEC bets with us, and me, if you went over 6.5, I know Anthony said he would go over 6.5, under on the 7, whatever. But if you go over 6.5, if you're in on that, then you have to look at that model as what you want to look for. You know what I mean? Like that is what you would hope. That is the enigma in your brain. And so if that is the case, if that happens, it's going to be because of the defensive line, because they have freaks. The exact same thing. If Alabama wins the whole thing, it's because Bryce Young is still that dude. You know what I'm saying? Like it is because of that.
Will Anderson.
Correct. Well, we already know that's death, taxes, and Will Anderson being the best player in college football. It's not close. Yep. It is not close. By the way, I looked at those odds. They're up to 4,000. Up to 4,000. It is up to 4,000. That is.
Wait, for what? Wait, for Will Anderson. Wait, where are you going? What are you talking about?
Criminal.
Or where are you saying 4,000?
I thought it was, 4,000. It was up the other day. I saw it.
I'm drinking right now, but you sound drunk.
No,
I'm telling it's plus 1,400 or 1,500, man.
Let me see.
Well, and tell me what site you
1,600.
see.
1,600.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are you talking about?
Maybe it was an odds boost. Maybe
if it was an odds boost, let me know which site that was. I'd go hammer it.
Look, man, I'm not perfect. I drink too. All right, next. So we're going to immediately just acknowledge the fact that Will Anderson is obviously going to be my unicorn for the season. Point blank. Period. Done. Thanks.
You convinced me on that, and I mean,
such a bucket. God, it's such a bucket.
We've, since this is our last video before we get into breaking down games and really getting into the betting stuff, which is what we love. There's a couple of storylines, and as far as the Big 12, there's not much to talk about. I mean, you've got Brent Venables obviously leaving Clemson, going to Oklahoma, taking over that. You've got Steve Sarkisian in his second year with high expectations. And you've got teams like Oklahoma State and Baylor looking to repeat success from last year. So what do you think is the big storyline going into the Big 12?
I am so in the minority in this, but I think it's Baylor. I know that I'm biased because I took them, but well, first of all, I think the biggest storyline has to be Texas. Like from a popularity standpoint, from the clicks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, all that, it is Texas and what is Sark going to do. Really, really big. From what I understand, I am not. Please don't at me on this. Don't quote me on this. But what I think were pretty significant injuries to to one of their starters on the line. I do not have the name up, and also a starting receiver. They're loaded with talent. We know that. Can they replace, reload? Sure. You know how I feel about their win total. You know how I feel about who's going to win the Big 12. To me, if it's me, it's because I coach. I think it's Dave Aranda. I think repeating that process, proving people wrong. Everybody's sleeping on them. No one is. All eyes are on the other two teams in Texas. It's Texas A&M and UT Austin. So that's just. That is
UT Austin.
That's
UT Austin. Is that the Longhorns? Is that who you're referring to?
Yes, bro.
Don't ever call them that again. From Texas. Everyone knows who the hell you're talking. I thought you were talking about like San Antonio, UTSA.
So what I'll never do is I'll never hold an inside joke from the crowd. I have a personal friend of mine. Okay. Personal friend of mine. Whenever we were both getting our acceptance letters into college, she got accepted, and the way she explained to me was, and I quote, UT Austin, and I said, "Please don't say that. It's not what they are."
So, I was so confused for a second. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I would put Texas as the biggest storyline just because there's a lot of pressure on Sarkisian. Another one of Saban's boys that really hasn't found as much success as the others. Granted,
it kind of feels like now or never.
It is now or never. And you look at Kirby Smart in Georgia, and it's like, well, he had one of the best defensive classes of all time. Do you see the resources Texas has? They have their own freaking network. Don't talk to me about stuff that Kirby Smart has that Texas doesn't, that Sarkisian doesn't. So it's a big year for them, and I think they're ranked 5th according to ESPN and the power rankings in the Big 12. I think Baylor and them, they fly under the radar. We're looking for them to repeat their success, but Texas is the biggest storyline. I don't even really care about Oklahoma. I don't really find that Clemson's coach is worthy of mention. I think he's okay. I think he has to prove himself and earn that. So that's just my opinion on that. So
damn, that's Bill. That's chalkboard chalk.
Well, Clemson
billboard material.
Clemson's one of those teams that has it easy. They're in one of the easiest conferences.
Now,
I'm not talking about that. Dabo's a great coach.
I'm talking about Brent Venables. Okay, yeah.
I'm talking about more of Clemson as a whole.
Okay.
Like watered down conference. They've got the best. They've got a good recruiting edge outside of the SEC because people go almost undefeated at Clemson. And now, their quarterback situation's rough this year. I heard they got some young talent coming in. But I'm not going to give anyone from Clemson credit outside of the university until they go prove it. And I think this is a good step for Venables. Don't get me wrong. But I have a hard time. I mean, the Big 12 is wide open. So if he comes out and kills it this year, I'll give him his flowers. I have no problem with that. So no more talking about Clemson. No more talking about the Big 12. Let's just quickly browse over the Big 10, man. Big 10, Ohio State. Big 10, Ohio State. Is there anything else to talk about?
Yeah, man. I'm going to be in the minority here again. I'm going to stay this way. I think Michigan. Every year that we talk about Michigan, it's always, is this going to be the year where they finally stamp themselves as being on that level? Is this look? There was the whole, Harbaugh wanting to take the NFL job. Was he in? Is he out? Like there was. That is not fake, y'all. Like that was real. Like again,
didn't they sign him to an extension over all of that? That's what he ended up with.
Yes, but that is real. Like I am positive that was real. And so what I think is, if you can just assert yourself as 2, okay, Ohio State's at the top. If you can assert yourself firmly in that next tier, then you have a puncher's chance with them because you beat them last year. You have a puncher's chance if you remain there. What can we do, with that? Maybe make a game or 2, parlay out of it. Maybe follow them game by game, week by week. I didn't really like the win total, but yeah, man, it's Ohio State's. It's Ohio State's league to lose, and I think with kind of like how Clemson kind of plays, the ACC. I think it's kind of how Big Ten and Ohio State go hand in hand. So
yeah, no, I agree, and I just think it's Ohio State or bust in that conference. I mean, I think there's some good teams there, and then there's a good race for second place. I just don't think anyone's competing with Ohio State. I could be wrong, and I hope they don't prove me wrong because I have some money on Ohio State. But anyways, we were going to browse to the SEC and break them down as well, but I think we've done enough of that, right? I mean, I think what we really need to talk about before we get off and let you guys go is let's talk about some of the big injuries that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. I'm going to get this on the screen right now. If you just give me 1 second and we can kind of browse through some. I mean, this covers.com, by the way, shout out to them for having this report. It's basically a full injury report of all of college football. So, just to start, you started, you've been bragging about this whole Texas deal where they lost an offensive lineman, and I believe they lost a receiver as well. Give me your update on that and how that's going to affect them going forward.
Look, nobody ever wants to lose anybody on the offensive line. I think whenever you lose somebody significant, somebody that's supposed to play, I think you don't want that to happen. That's not good. Starting receiver, not good. But can you overcome that? Sure, man. I've seen it happen. And look, this isn't an indictment on anything about Texas. I think that you're seeing 4 injuries here. Look, it is what it is. Obviously, there's an indefinite suspension going on for him, a couple out for the season, and then you got a questionable with a lower body injury. Look, Texas is going to be Texas, and I don't think their win or loss is going to come immediately in the forefront because of these injuries. I think it's more so later on down the road. I think it's going to be do they pile up? Do you have depth? Do you have do you have people that can continue to play week in and week out? Anybody can strap it up and do it for one game, but can you do it for consistent games? That's kind of the model there.
And to piggyback off of depth, I mean, Ohio State lost their backup running back for the year. I think that's a big deal. I know Travion Henderson's still there. Stud. We're not really giving him much credit, but he's a part of the three-headed monster at Ohio State. So that's a big loss to their depth right there. I think they'll be fine, but they better hope they keep their running back healthy. And, oh, my God, do you see this list right here? Notre Dame. Yeah. What happened? Brian Kelly leaves for not even a full year, and you see all these injuries stacking up, man. What the hell's happening there?
Out for season, out indefinitely, questionable Achilles, out for season Achilles. Look, they have done. I'm going to give Notre Dame their flowers. They have on the recruiting trail decided to make Marcus Freeman. Shout out to that dude. That's a bad bro. And a lot of kids love him, want to play for him. Hats off to you. I saw that dude. I don't know if you saw, but it was on Twitter. He was high-fiving and shaking the hands of every single kid going onto the field for practice or the scrimmage. I mean, that's decent. The players want to play for you, but you cannot. This is too much. This can't happen.
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
And I'm not saying that it's his fault, man. I mean, bad luck strikes all the time. Everybody in this chat has a team, and their favorite team has been, injury riddled at some point or another. But this has to be addressed at some point in time, man. I don't like seeing kids hurt. I don't care what team it is.
Yeah, no, it's that's a lot. And shout out to Dakotas Crawford out. I don't think he tore his ACL, but he definitely hurt it. So shout out to them. But there's some injuries happening, but man, Notre Dame takes the cake. I mean, I see a lot of teams don't have any injuries, so to see a significant number there, and then Chris Rodriguez, that's a big one for Kentucky. I didn't know about that, suspended. Mm-hmm. So be on the lookout when you're making bets. Check out covers.com. Check this out, and when we get into week 0 next week, we'll definitely resource this and make this known for when we're making our bets. So. I think that's it for us, man. This is our filler week. Once again, patreon.com/4th-and-1 podcast. $1 a month. Please give us a try. We're looking to make you guys some money. Trey, any last thoughts? This is our final week before we get into the thick of it, man. So what do you guys say?
I think that everybody that pays attention to this channel, man, and pays attention to the growth and the good things that are coming to it are going to be really, really excited that they got in when they did, because we're not really going anywhere, man. This is something that we feel very, very passionate about, and I think if $5 stands between you and maybe winning, 1, 2, 3, 4 double-digit bet, you're going to win bets with us. You're going to lose some too now. We're not going to go 100, but you're gonna look at the end of a game, and it's going to be Saturday night, 11 p.m. You're on your 4th Red Bull vodka, and you're going to be 200 units up, and you're going to go, these dudes might be up to something. It's going to happen. And then there's going to be other weeks where we might put out only 3 and they all 3 lose. I mean, it's sports, but it's fun. And it's every single time that we put these things out, we put them out with intent. We want to give you background onto it. And the Patreon allows us to get some sort of order and kind of close down on that discrepancy between, us and the list and you guys. So turn your notifications on, give us a try. It's $1.
And I'm going to guarantee this, and I'm not going to just say it, I'm going to guarantee we're going to hit a massive parlay this year. It's going to make up for any units that you lost. It's going to be 10s, 20s, 30s. It's going to be, we both always hit a whale.
Every year.
It might not be right away, but we're going to hit a whale. It happens every time. We're always close. So round robining is not horrible. But, man, please, patreon.com/4th-and-1 pod. Sign up. And we've got some special things going on with that we'll get into, throughout the season. But that's it for us. Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube Thanks to everyone that's watching. Thanks for all the support. We are not going anywhere. If it takes week 1, week 5, week 10, we're going to be here. And we're going to earn your respect. We're going to get you guys some units, whether you're with us or without us. And like Trey said, you're going to wish that you were on us from day one. So we are done. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Week 0, no more waiting after next video. See you guys later.